A millionaire saves a homeless woman from jail, but makes an unusual request in return that left everyone shocked. Before we start the story, comment below and let me know which city you're watching from. Enjoy the story, everyone. Leah was a young woman with striking beauty, but after losing her parents, she fell into depression and ended up living on the streets. She spent her nights in cold alleys and her days searching for food and shelter. One morning, as she entered a market to buy a piece of fruit with the few coins she had, Leah was unjustly accused of stealing. The store manager, overly concerned about his store's security, called the police. Leah was desperate and cried out, "It wasn't me. I didn't do anything. I'm innocent." But unable to defend herself, she was handcuffed and taken away. The police officers mocked her, saying, "Everyone says they're innocent at this point. Where you're going, it's full of innocent people." Leah cried out desperately, "Help! Someone help me!" She screamed at the onlookers as tears streamed down her face. Among the crowd was a wealthy man watching everything unfold, paying attention to every detail. Leah's beauty caught his eye, and it was then that he had a terrible idea. 2 days after being arrested, Leah sat in a cold cell when Gabriel Montenegro, one of the richest men in the city, and the same man who had watched her arrest, appeared, surprising her. Leah had no idea who he was. The mysterious man seemed completely out of place in that environment. 2 officers removed Leah from her cell to speak with Gabriel. Meanwhile, all the women sharing that small cell with Leah stared at the mysterious, charming man who had come to talk to the newcomer. "What do you want from me?" Leah asked distrustfully, seeing the man approach her with a look of interest. "I'm here to make you an offer," Gabriel said in a tone that mixed arrogance and coldness. Faced with no other options and terrified of everything that was happening, Leah listened carefully to the proposal. Gabriel needed an escort to make his ex-fiancée jealous at her wedding. After seeing Leah being arrested, he thought she could be the perfect choice. He offered to pay Leah's bail, a gesture loaded with ulterior motives. But given the situation, Leah saw it as her only way out of that nightmare. "Okay, I'll do it, but what happens after?" Leah asked hesitantly, afraid of becoming a slave to Gabriel. "Afterward, you're free to live your life." "I need you for just one night," Gabriel replied with overwhelming confidence. Desperate and eager to leave the cell as quickly as possible, she accepted Gabriel's proposal. But who was he? Leah had that question lingering in her mind, but couldn't afford to ask more. She just wanted to get out of there as fast as possible. In the end, she left the prison in Gabriel's company, full of questions and distrustful, but without another option for freedom in such a dire moment of her life. Leah followed the mysterious man, albeit with apprehension, trusting him with her freedom. Gabriel, noticing the uncertainty in her eyes, assured her that everything would be fine. He provided all the resources needed for Leah to prepare for the big day, knowing that this transformation was not just preparation for the wedding but also a step toward her self-assertion. He took her shopping, selecting a dress that would not only enhance her appearance, but also make her feel confident and powerful. The process of choosing the dress was filled with nervous laughter and curious glances. After shopping, Gabriel took her to the best beauty salon in the region. The stylist had a magical touch, and Leah couldn't help but feel a wave of excitement when she saw her reflection in the mirror. Wearing a dress that highlighted her silhouette and makeup that accentuated her features, she looked like a new woman. When she saw herself ready, a mix of insecurity and empowerment clouded her heart. "You look beautiful," Gabriel said sincerely, and at the same time, he felt a wave of admiration and protectiveness toward her. "Let's get this over with," Leah replied harshly, trying to hide her vulnerability. She only wanted her freedom and wasn't willing to put up with Gabriel any longer, even in the face of the provocation he represented. When they arrived at the event, entering the grand hall arm in arm, all eyes turned to Leah. Gabriel's gaze sparkled with pride that he couldn't hide. He looked at her with a mixture of pride and desire, though it left him feeling confused. The chemistry between them was intensifying, but Leah chose to ignore this newfound feeling. As soon as they crossed the entrance, whispers began. "Who is that woman? She's stunning. He's never brought anyone like her before." The entire atmosphere was electrified by her presence. Wherever Leah walked, she encountered looks of surprise and curiosity, which made her feel slightly insecure. While some avoided her, others approached to find out who she was. Gabriel's ex-fiancée, Isabel, was furious and shocked to see them together. Isabel's arrogance seemed to overflow as she stormed over to Gabriel, grabbing his arm with a piercing glare. "Who is this woman you brought to my party?" she demanded, her voice filled with fury and disdain. "Are you jealous, Isabel?" Gabriel replied, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "You're a married woman now. I owe you no explanations." Isabel's indignation was palpable as she burned with anger. With a dismissive gesture, she stomped away, purposefully bumping into Leah and spilling her drink on Leah's dress. "Oops, sorry, I'm so clumsy," Isabel said with a hint of irony that only served to heighten the tension. "It's fine. These things happen," Leah responded, trying to remain calm and not let the situation upset her. Taking a deep breath, she smiled genuinely and turned to the other guests, determined to ignore the incident. With her sincerity and warmth, Leah began chatting with everyone, astonishing the guests with her authentic demeanor and refreshing perspective on life. One by one, they were captivated by her radiant presence and the fascinating stories she shared about her life. "You've got an incredible woman by your side," one of the guests remarked to Gabriel, admiring Leah from a distance. "Yes, she's amazing," Gabriel replied, completely absorbed as he watched Leah from across the room, laughing and engaging with a group of women. His eyes sparkled as he realized how Leah, perhaps unknowingly, was breaking through the walls he had built around his heart. "Excuse me for a moment," Gabriel said to the guest before making his way toward Leah. With a smile, he approached her, the sound of music creating a magical atmosphere around them. "May I have this dance?" Gabriel asked, catching Leah off guard with the unexpected gesture. Her eyes widened in surprise, and he leaned closer, whispering, "We need to keep up appearances." Leah hesitated, but soon nodded, letting Gabriel guide her to the dance floor. The captivating music filled the air, wrapping them in its enchanting rhythm. As they moved together, the tension in the air began to ease, and for a moment, Leah forgot her internal struggle. The gazes of the other guests seemed to fade away as she focused on the dance. The music flowed gently, and Gabriel, with a tender touch, drew her closer, immersing them in the moment. The tension between them was tangible, but there was something else, a growing intimacy that challenged the walls Leah had built around herself. As they danced, Gabriel spoke softly, asking about her interests and dreams. Leah began to share pieces of her life, her plans, and her aspirations. The more they talked, the more she felt herself opening up, revealing stories of her past and the challenges she had faced. Gabriel listened intently, his gaze never leaving her face. The connection between them deepened with every movement, every shared laugh. Leah began to see that Gabriel wasn't just the man who had rescued her for this one night. He was someone who seemed to genuinely care about her. "You know," Gabriel said as the music shifted to a softer melody, "it's not easy to find someone authentic in environments like this. Most people here are just trying to maintain appearances." Leah nodded, appreciating his honesty. "That's true. Sometimes I feel like a stranger in this world," she admitted, her words tinged with a mix of vulnerability and strength. "But you're not a stranger. You're a breath of fresh air," Gabriel replied, his eyes shining with admiration. His words touched Leah in a way she hadn't expected. It was as if a new part of her was beginning to emerge, a part ready to break free from the chains of insecurity and fear. In a moment of impulse, Gabriel pulled her closer, their faces just inches apart. Leah's heart raced as she looked into his deep eyes, feeling overwhelmed by emotion and the unexpected. Silence filled the space between them, and for a brief moment, the world around them seemed to disappear. Then Leo, a friend of Isabel, appeared, breaking the moment. "Gabriel, you're at an important event. Let's take some photos." He gestured toward the other guests, and Gabriel, feeling slightly embarrassed by the interruption, nodded quickly. "Of course, just a moment," he replied, but he glanced at Leah with a silent longing for more time together. As Gabriel walked away to join the group, Leah was left with a mix of emotions and confusion. What was this connection that seemed to be forming between them? Was it genuine, or just the heat of the moment? She decided that, at least for that night, she would set those questions aside and simply enjoy the moment. Minutes turned into hours as Leah began mingling with the other guests, who quickly gathered around her, fascinated by her presence. She danced, laughed, and allowed herself to relax, despite Isabel's glaring presence still looming in the background. Gabriel's ex-fiancée seemed furious, watching Leah's every move with a penetrating stare. However, Leah focused on herself, reveling in the feeling of being free and alive. Toward the end of the evening, Gabriel sought her out again. "Ready to leave?" he asked with a smile. "It was fun, wasn't it?" Leah simply nodded, a satisfied smile on her lips. As they exited the venue, the cool night air wrapped around them like a gentle cloak, and Leah couldn't help but feel that perhaps this was the beginning of something new. "Thank you for bringing me," Leah said, now more confident, as they walked away from the party. Gabriel looked at her with a calm smile. "You deserve more than you realize, Leah, and I want to learn more about the amazing woman you are." His words echoed in Leah's mind, filling her with strength and determination. The future seemed promising, and perhaps she was finally on her way to finding true freedom, not just by leaving her past behind, but also by exploring new possibilities, with Gabriel by her side. After the wedding, Gabriel offered Leah a job in his mansion as a housekeeper. Reluctant, but with no other options, Leah accepted the new life Gabriel was offering her and began living in a world of luxury that felt worlds away from her reality on the streets. During the first few days, the transformation left her unsettled. She found herself surrounded by designer clothes, lavish dinners, and an environment full of splendor. However, the vastness of Gabriel's mansion felt oppressive, reminding her of the years she had spent struggling to survive. Yet with each passing day, an unexpected bond began to form between them. Gabriel discovered Leah's charisma and inner strength, which captivated everyone around her. As time went on, the initial awkwardness and insecurity between them melted away. Their interactions became more natural and fluid. Gabriel started seeing beyond Leah's beauty. He saw her determination to overcome obstacles and her resilience in the face of adversity. Leah, in turn, began to glimpse the vulnerability behind Gabriel's arrogant facade, the pain and expectations he carried on his shoulders. In the moments when Gabriel let down his guard, she saw a man who also had fears and insecurities. They started treating each other with kindness, spending more and more time together at the mansion. Between long conversations in the garden and shared laughter during meals, Leah opened up to Gabriel, sharing her story. She recounted memories of her childhood, her parents' shop that had closed, the lessons they had taught her, and the deep sense of loss she felt. Gabriel listened intently, growing increasingly impressed by her resilience. "I dream of reopening my parents' shop," Leah shared, her eyes shining as she spoke. "It was a special place, full of life. I feel like if I can make it happen, it would be a way to honor everything they did for me." Gabriel, moved by the passion in her voice, felt inspired. Her strength challenged his worldview and made him reflect on his own desires. "I have dreams too," he began, revealing a side of himself he rarely let anyone see. "I want to build a family, a home filled with love and laughter. It may sound sentimental, but it's something I've always wanted, a solid foundation to call my own." Their friendship grew stronger with each passing day, as they shared their lives and deepened their connection. Months went by like a fleeting moment, and the bond between them grew as their conversations became even more profound. Leah felt more confident each day, and Gabriel began to see Leah as more than just a housekeeper or a friend. She had become someone who occupied his thoughts far more than he had ever anticipated. "You're different from what I thought," Leah said sincerely one sunny afternoon as they sat together in the shade of a tree in the garden. "Different? How so?" Gabriel asked, not entirely understanding her statement. "There's a kindness behind your arrogant demeanor, and you've taken such good care of me. I'm grateful for everything." Leah's eyes sparkled as she watched Gabriel's smile grow wider at her words. It was a sweet and tender moment. "You've surprised me too, Leah. There's a strength in you I hadn't expected, and I admire you for that," Gabriel replied softly, gently touching her face. He looked deeply into her eyes, hoping she could see the intentions he carried in his heart. Then, on impulse, Gabriel confessed, "I think over these past months, I've fallen in love with you." His words lingered in the air, heavy with truth. Leah listened intently, her heart racing. She blushed, knowing the feeling was mutual and realizing she had been hiding her feelings for a long time. "I'm in love with you too," Leah admitted, her voice filled with emotion and sincerity. In that moment, their worlds came together. A passionate kiss sealed their confessions, and time seemed to freeze around them. The worries and doubts of the outside world vanished as they gave themselves to the moment and to what they were becoming for each other. However, as Leah basked in the enchantment of that kiss, a sense of happiness began to fill her heart. But the sweetness of the moment was abruptly overshadowed by a dark notion lingering in the air, like a storm cloud about to burst. Leah's happiness was about to be shaken. Isabel, Gabriel's ex-fiancée, was furious seeing Leah so close to him, especially after he had brought her to her wedding. The idea that Gabriel might be in a relationship with another woman ignited her desire for revenge. What Isabel didn't anticipate was how that anger would lead her to devise a carefully plotted plan. Isabel sent an envelope containing a message both intriguing and potentially devastating. With a malicious smile, she ensured the envelope arrived anonymously. To uncover the real Gabriel, read the cryptic message accompanying the document. When Leah received it, a chill ran down her spine. What should have been a simple curiosity became a heavy burden on her mind, consuming her thoughts. Who had sent this? And why? Leah didn't want to believe that her relationship with Gabriel could be tainted, but doubt began to creep in. The envelope occupied her thoughts the entire day as she tried to distract herself with housework. Yet her mind kept returning to the paper carrying a silent threat to her love. Memories of happy moments shared with Gabriel clashed with the growing anxiety she felt. They had been living something so good, so unique. Could she risk ruining it? Succumbing to curiosity and the need for clarity, she decided to open the envelope. With trembling hands, she pulled out the contents, expecting perhaps a simple note. Instead, as she unfolded the document, her heart sank into despair. The words revealed a contract bearing the name of the store responsible for her unjust arrest. With each line, her panic grew. When she saw in bold letters the name, Gabriel Montenegro, the shock was overwhelming. The revelation hit like a crushing blow. Gabriel owned the store that, during her struggle for survival on the streets, had caused her wrongful imprisonment. Tears streamed down her face as she was engulfed by a whirlwind of emotions. How could this be possible? The man she had fallen in love with, who had promised to help her rebuild her life and pursue her dreams, was actually the one responsible for the chains that had kept her down. The sting of betrayal pierced her heart, filling her with unbearable despair. Time seemed to stand still. Joy dissipated in an instant, replaced by an overwhelming urge to confront Gabriel. With determination, she marched to his office and, with anger and desperation, threw the documents onto his desk. "What is this about?" Leah demanded, her voice trembling with emotion. "Let's play a little game for those who only read the comments. Type pizza in the comments. Only those who make it this far will understand. Now let's get back to the story." Gabriel, engrossed in his work, looked up and stared at her in silence. He was confused. "What is this?" he asked, not yet grasping the gravity of the situation. "You're the owner of that damn store. I was wrongfully arrested because of you." Leah's voice was loud, a mix of indignation and pain as she relived the humiliation and suffering she had endured. Gabriel tried to respond, but the storm of emotions Leah was experiencing was too intense for him to interrupt. "Yes, I own the store, but Leah, listen, I had nothing to do with your arrest," he began, striving to stay calm. "Everything you did was calculated. Everything we have is a lie." Leah shouted, tears streaming freely down her face. The shock and betrayal were clear in her eyes, as she felt utterly betrayed by someone she had placed all her trust in. Gabriel's frustration grew with every word Leah spoke. He stood up and quickly moved around the desk toward her, but Leah stepped back. "No, please, don't ever touch me again. I can't stand you." Her voice was filled with disgust and pain. Desperate and heartbroken, Leah decided there was nothing more to say. With one final look of contempt and disillusionment, she turned and left the mansion, convinced Gabriel was no different from everyone else who had betrayed her trust before. The sound of the door closing behind her echoed like the collapse of a world. Leah walked the streets, each step heavy with frustration and pain. Every memory of the happy moments she had shared with Gabriel now felt like poison in her veins. Anger coursed through her, but it was the betrayal that hurt the most. The love that had blossomed between them was now on the verge of collapse. Everything she had felt for him, the protection, admiration, and affection, was now replaced by a sea of disillusionment. She wandered aimlessly, lost in her tumultuous thoughts, tears still streaming down her face. The weight of the envelope was fresh in her mind, and the name Gabriel Montenegro rang like a curse. How could he have hidden such a cruel truth? Trust, the very foundation of any relationship, had been shattered in an instant. Leah recalled the moments they had shared, the laughter, the dreams, the promises of a better future. She felt foolish for having fallen for his charm. Desperation slowly began to transform into a new kind of determination. She couldn't let Gabriel control her like others had. Not this time. She couldn't just leave things as they were without knowing the truth behind Gabriel's actions. What would she do? Confront him again? Demand answers? The thought of leaving without an explanation gnawed at her, but more than that, the need to uncover the truth about him fueled her resolve. Devastated by Leah's departure, Gabriel realized that neither his money nor power could bring him the happiness he longed for. He became obsessed with winning her back, trying everything he could to please her. Flowers, chocolates, heartfelt messages, nothing seemed enough. His passion burned stronger than ever, and her absence left him lost. "Without you, nothing makes sense," he murmured to himself every night as loneliness consumed him. Gabriel was determined to beg for her forgiveness. One day, he finally mustered the courage to seek her out. He prepared himself mentally all morning. Nervousness gnawed at him, but he couldn't give up without a fight. When he arrived at her door, his heart raced. He knocked softly, memories of their happy moments flooding his mind. When Leah opened the door, their eyes met, and a lump formed in his throat. "Please, I love you more than you could ever imagine. I need you in my life to be a better person," Gabriel said. His voice breaking with emotion, his eyes filled with tears. "I'm a better person when I'm with you, and I don't want to go back to the man I was before." Leah, shocked, looked at him now kneeling before her, his vulnerability exposed. "How can you expect me to believe your promises? What if you lie again?" Her voice trembled, filled with hurt and mistrust. "I'm not lying, Leah," Gabriel responded, his voice rising with urgency. "I'm here because I've realized that without you, I'm just empty. I can't live like this." Tears began streaming down his face as he tried to convey the sincerity in his heart. "Are you telling the truth when you say you love me?" Leah asked, moved by the sight of the man she once loved bearing his soul in such a way. The desperation in his eyes touched her in ways she hadn't expected. "Without a doubt, there's nothing in my life more valuable than your love," he declared, his voice thick with emotion. "Do you really think I can just forget everything that happened? How much you hurt me?" Leah questioned, her determination wavering. The inner conflict between her love and pain created a whirlwind of emotions within her. "I don't expect you to forget, but I promise I'll do everything to fix this. I'll take every step necessary to earn your trust again," Gabriel said, his words filled with determination. She sighed, her expression still hesitant. "That's not how it works. I can't rush into this, Gabriel." "I need time," Leah replied, her heart torn between love and hurt. Heartbroken, Gabriel stood up, the weight of the world on his shoulders. He knew he needed to change, that his love for Leah demanded action, not just words. As he walked home, his sadness began to transform into a firm resolve. He would become a better person, not just for Leah, but for himself. That night, Gabriel looked in the mirror. With determination in his eyes, he whispered to himself, "I'll do it. I'll win you back, Leah. You deserve the best of me." Time passed, and on his journey of redemption, Gabriel became a kinder and more compassionate man. His actions spoke louder than words. He used his wealth to support causes that made a difference, making generous donations to orphanages and daycare centers. He extended his outreach, helping public hospitals and struggling families by partnering with institutions that truly impacted children and their families' lives. At first, every action he took was driven by the hope that Leah would notice his change. But as time went on, Gabriel began to feel the personal fulfillment these good deeds brought him. He found himself smiling at the joy in children's eyes and the gratitude on the faces of those he helped. He was discovering a new side of himself, and this newfound kindness nourished his spirit. Meanwhile, Leah, though distant, heard murmurs about Gabriel's transformation. Sometimes, she saw photos of him at charity events, surrounded by children and smiles. A mix of emotions flooded her, pride in his good deeds, but also hesitation. Her heart was still wounded, and the scars ran deep. One night, Leah decided to attend a charity event organized by Gabriel's company. The goal was to raise funds for a Christmas party for the local orphanage. "I want to see for myself," she thought as she prepared, her heart racing with both anticipation and fear. She knew Gabriel would be there, and the thought filled her with anxiety. When she arrived at the event, the atmosphere was filled with joy and hope. Leah spotted Gabriel across the room, animatedly talking with some children. The humble glow in his eyes and the sincerity in his words revealed a new side of him. She felt a pang of emotion mixed with a longing to understand what had truly changed. Unnoticed, Leah approached him, her heart pounding in her chest. When Gabriel finally saw her, his face lit up, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. He froze, stunned and speechless. Leah was there, and he couldn't believe it. His heart raced just at the sight of her. Gabriel walked toward her slowly, swallowing the emotion that consumed him. In an impulsive gesture, he knelt before her, sincere tears streaming down his face. "Leah," he began, his voice choked with emotion. "I know I've made mistakes, and I have so much to make up for, but once again, I want to ask for your forgiveness. I love you. I am committed to being a better man, not just for you, but for myself and for those who need me." He took a deep breath, searching for the right words. "Every mistake I've made has been a valuable lesson. I've truly learned what it means to love someone. I've realized that love isn't just words, but actions. I want to show you, not just tell you, that I'm changing for you." Leah looked at him, a storm of emotions swirling within her. She heard the sincerity in his words and saw the transformation in the man she loved. "Gabriel, you've hurt yourself and you've hurt me. It's not easy to just forget, but I can see the change in you," she replied, her words heavy yet tinged with softness. "Do you really believe you can be that man? The man I deserve?" she asked, unsure but hopeful. "Yes," Gabriel answered, his voice weighted with determination. "And I won't give up on us. I'll fight for you and for our love every day, until you can trust me again." Silence lingered between them as Leah reflected on everything they had been through and the visible changes she had witnessed. The love they once shared still simmered within her, and the idea of giving a second chance wasn't just about Gabriel's promises, but about rebuilding something beautiful together. After a few moments of reflection, Leah finally spoke. "I want to try again, not for you, but for us and what we can still become." Gabriel smiled, a smile full of hope and gratitude. A new beginning lay ahead of them. Tears of happiness streamed down Gabriel's face as he stood and embraced Leah tenderly, promising never to let love slip through his fingers again. Life together brought new challenges and a different dynamic. The reconciliation between Gabriel and Leah was just the beginning, as they faced the consequences of past choices together. Former employees, once hurt by Gabriel's impulsive decisions, still harbored resentment, and the shadow of the past often surfaced in conversations and glances. Amid this tension, Gabriel realized he needed to act, not just to make amends, but to heal the pain many still carried. With this in mind, he and Leah joined forces in social initiatives, working to support those affected by his previous actions. "We're in this together, Leah. Every small step counts," Gabriel said as they organized a food drive in a local square. The energy of the place buzzed with hope and solidarity. He looked at the line of people forming, his heart heavy with the stories he knew were hidden behind each face. Leah, watching his determination, felt warmth spread through her heart. "Yes, and I want to do this not just to help others, but to help us too. It strengthens us," she replied, feeling a growing certainty within herself. Together, they were building not just a new life, but a new identity rooted in compassion and solidarity. As the couple dedicated themselves to this new journey, questions began to arise. Conversations shifted, and old friends of Gabriel started to question his true intentions. At a bar table, one friend spoke up, concerned. Do you think he's really changed? Or is he just doing this to look good for Leah? These words spread, causing a ripple of comments and murmurs that eventually reached Leah. She began to feel external pressure, and doubts crept back into her mind. What if all of this was just a facade? What if Gabriel was only trying to redeem himself for his own conscience? One evening, after a long day of volunteer work, Leah decided to open her heart to Gabriel. "We need to talk," she said, breaking a silence heavy with the weight of her concerns. Gabriel looked at her, worry etched on his face. "What's wrong? Are you okay?" Leah hesitated, biting her lip. "I've been thinking about all of this, about us, and about how some people doubt you." Gabriel's expression turned serious. "Leah, I understand this might be hard, but believe me when I say I've changed. I'm not doing this for my image. I'm doing it because I truly want to make a difference. And I want you by my side." "But what if it's not enough?" Her voice trembled with desperation. "What if they're right? What if, deep down, you're just doing this to feel better about yourself?" Gabriel felt the weight of her words. He stepped closer, holding her hands. "I can't control what people think, Leah. All I can do is show, day after day, that I'm committed to this change. And this isn't just about me. It's about us, about building a future together." She looked into his eyes, searching for the sincerity that had always drawn her to him. "I want to believe you, Gabriel, but sometimes I'm afraid. Afraid of losing everything again." "Then let's face that fear together," he said with determination. "Let's show them that our actions speak louder than words, that we're here not just for ourselves, but for the community we're trying to help. Every small victory will be a step in the right direction, and it will bring us closer together." Inspired by his words, Leah felt a ray of hope pierce through her heart. "And what if others don't accept it?" she asked gently. "I can't guarantee everyone will accept it. But I know that if we stay united, we can weather any storm. We're doing the right thing, and that's what matters." Gabriel replied, his gaze steady and filled with conviction. The conversation strengthened them, making them realize that, despite external opinions, the love and commitment they shared were more powerful. With this understanding, they devoted themselves even more to community work, determined to leave a positive and lasting impact, not only on their lives, but on the lives of others as well. After all, true change begins within us and radiates outward, and together, Gabriel and Leah were ready to make that happen. Amid this whirlwind of emotions, an old rivalry between Gabriel and Isabel resurfaced. She was unwilling to let Gabriel and Leah's new life flourish without obstacles. Determined to reclaim her influence over him, Isabel began applying pressure, provoking Gabriel with persuasive words during secret encounters. "You've always been a strong man, Gabriel. Don't let this woman make you forget who you really are," Isabel said, her tone insinuating. Her eyes sparkled with an intensity that stirred memories of Gabriel's former life. "Taking back the city is what you truly want, isn't it?" Gabriel was silent for a moment, memories of a time when he was consumed by power and status bubbling in his mind. He knew he needed to stand firm. "I'm not the man you think I am anymore. What I want now is to be better, and that includes Leah." The tension between them grew, a battle between his past and his future. Isabel smirked disdainfully. "Do you really think that woman will ever understand you? Look at yourself, Gabriel. She's not on your level." Her words cut like knives, and for a moment Gabriel hesitated, his old insecurities surfacing. But he quickly decided he wouldn't let Isabel manipulate him. "If you can't see the change in me, then you don't know me anymore. Leah is different, and I chose her. Stop trying to drag me back to who I was." Meanwhile, the atmosphere between Gabriel and Leah was about to shift. When Leah discovered that Isabel had met with Gabriel, her world came crashing down once again. Her stomach churned at the thought that the shadow of the past still loomed over their relationship. Insecurity began to eat away at the trust they had painstakingly rebuilt. "Gabriel, are you still in love with her?" Leah asked, her voice trembling as she struggled to hold back tears. The fear in her words was palpable, and she felt as though all her efforts to believe in their love might crumble. "No, Leah, I love you. Isabel is part of my past, and I'm determined to leave her there," Gabriel emphasized, trying to convey the sincerity of his feelings. He stepped toward her, seeking the connection that had brought them together. But Leah's expression remained unconvinced. "How can I be sure? She's just waiting for an opportunity to come between us. I don't know if I can handle that again." Her voice cracked, and she turned away, unable to face the pain she was feeling. "Look at me," Gabriel said, placing his hands on her shoulders. "I've fought too hard to get here, and I won't let Isabel make me reconsider our promises. You are the only one who makes me want to be a better man. There's no room for her in my life anymore." Leah looked at him, finally meeting the determination in his eyes. "Are you certain there's nothing left between you two?" "I'm certain. I don't want anything but to build a future with you," he replied, the intensity in his voice resonating in every fiber of his being. "If I need to, I'll do whatever it takes to prove that to you. The new life we want starts now, and I won't let the shadows of the past catch up to us." She pondered his words, her heart still heavy but beginning to see a glimmer of light in the chaos. "I want to believe you, Gabriel, but you need to show me." "Then let me show you," he said firmly, gripping her hands tightly. "Let's face this together, as we always have. We don't have to fight alone. I'm here, now and always." The tension still lingered, but the sincerity in his words seemed to create room for hope. Together, they would have to move forward, ensuring the past didn't shape their love in the present. This new phase wouldn't be easy, but together they were determined to fight for what they were building. After days of anguished doubt, Leah decided to take a break and distance herself from Gabriel. In her absence, Gabriel felt a part of himself slipping away as he began to reflect on the impact of his decisions and the happy years they had shared. "I need to prove to her that I'm worthy of her trust again," he told a friend, his tone heavy with frustration and longing. His friend encouraged him, suggesting that he plan a special surprise for Leah. Something to show her that his change was real and that his love for her was unwavering. Inspired, Gabriel decided to bring to life one of Leah's long-held dreams, owning a small shop, a place that had once belonged to her family and symbolized not just her roots, but her love for art and creativity. Working tirelessly in secret, he transformed an old, unused space next to the mansion into a cozy artisan shop, designing it with Leah in mind. He carefully chose every detail, from shelves made of reclaimed wood to the delicate fragrance that filled the air, a space that would feel like home. Something undeniably hers. On the day of the big reveal, a mix of anxiety and love filled Gabriel's heart. When Leah stepped into the shop, her expression shifted from confusion to shock. Her face lit up as she took in what he had created, and tears began streaming down her cheeks. "You did all this for me?" she asked, her voice breaking with emotion. "Yes, and this is just the beginning. There's a long road ahead, but I want to walk it with you. I want you to believe in me, just as I believe in us." Gabriel replied, his sincerity evident in every word. Leah's heart swelled with tangible hope. There was something undeniably genuine in the effort he had put into creating this space. She stepped forward and embraced him tightly, allowing herself to feel the security she had always longed for. "This is incredible, Gabriel. I don't even know what to say," she whispered, gratitude radiating from her as they pulled apart slightly, their eyes meeting. In an impulsive gesture, Leah leaned in and kissed him, a soft, tender kiss that symbolized a new beginning and a love ready to bloom again. And so, within the warm walls of the new shop, a new chapter of their story began to unfold, where trust and hope became the pillars on which they would build their future. Back at the mansion, as Leah worked on the shop and tried to rebuild her life with Gabriel, she made a devastating discovery. After a long day of tasks, Leah was in her room, surrounded by a temporary sense of peace. She and Gabriel had been collaborating on a project to revitalize the house and create a welcoming space for both of them. However, while organizing some old papers in a drawer, something caught her attention. A thick envelope bearing the logo of one of Gabriel's former companies. Curious, Leah picked up the envelope and began to examine it. Inside, she found correspondence between Gabriel and a local bank discussing the closure of a store that had once supplied her parents' shop. As she read, her heart began to race. One passage in particular stood out. Unfortunately, the decision to increase competition in the area was necessary to boost sales. The closure of Mr. and Mrs. Oliveira's shop was an unintended but unavoidable consequence. A lump formed in her throat. The words echoed in her mind as the reality of what she was reading sank in. Her parents' shop, the place that had sustained her family throughout her childhood. With trembling hands, Leah flipped through the remaining documents and found details of how Gabriel had pushed to open a new market, directly undermining her family's business. "How is this possible?" she murmured, her eyes scanning each line. Still stunned, Leah stormed into Gabriel's office, where he was reviewing new project plans. She knocked sharply, her anger and pain surging through her. Gabriel looked up, startled. "Leah, what's wrong? You look pale," he said, rising from his chair. "This is what you call love, Gabriel," she yelled, holding the envelope so he could see it. "You destroyed my family." Gabriel frowned in confusion. "What are you talking about? What's in that envelope?" Leah stepped closer, her voice trembling. "This letter, your decision to manipulate the competition. Your decision ruined my parents' shop. You did this." Gabriel's expression quickly shifted from confusion to a mixture of guilt and despair. "Leah, I didn't realize how serious it was. The economy was pushing out all kinds of markets. What I did was just a business decision." "A business decision?" Leah stepped closer, her words pulsing with pain and betrayal. "Don't you see? This wasn't just business. This was the foundation of my life. My parents' shop. And now here you are, trying to rebuild what's left of your life and asking me to believe you've changed? You haven't." Gabriel felt the weight of his guilt like an unbearable burden. "Leah, I didn't know the consequences would be so devastating. I only looked at the numbers, the sales, and you let my family fall apart." Leah cried, tears streaming down her face. "My father turned to alcohol, and my mother was so desperate she ended up passing away. Do you have any idea what that meant for me?" The silence between them grew, heavy and suffocating. Gabriel couldn't believe what he was hearing. He stepped toward Leah and, on impulse, tried to reach for her. But she recoiled as if his touch burned her skin. "Don't touch me," she snapped, throwing the envelope to the ground as if it symbolized all the tragedies her life had endured because of him. "You can try to convince me that you've changed, but how can I trust you? You're the reason I lost everything." Gabriel stepped back, the weight of despair pressing on his chest. "Leah, I can't change the past, and I can't erase the pain you're feeling. But I want to do whatever it takes to make things right. I'll take responsibility for the consequences." "Take responsibility? How? How are you going to bring my family back?" "You can't. You dragged me into this life of lies," Leah shouted, her voice echoing through the room. Desperation overwhelmed Gabriel. "I can't bring your parents back, but I can try to make a difference in the lives of the children and young people you care about. Please, give me a chance to make amends." "I just want to get away from this," Leah breathed, her voice trembling. Stunned, Leah fled into the dark streets of the city. Her vision blurred with tears, and she nearly stepped in front of a bus. She only wanted to escape the mansion, to get away from Gabriel. Everyone had been right. He hadn't changed. He was the same spoiled and selfish man who had caused her imprisonment in the first place. Leah was devastated. She didn't know how to forgive what had happened. Gabriel, however, was determined to win her heart back. He couldn't give up on them or on everything they had built together. Refusing to let anything come between them, Gabriel decided to plead for her forgiveness once more. It didn't matter how many times he had to humble himself. He only wanted her by his side. Every day, rain or shine, he went to the house Leah had rented, standing at her gate, begging for her forgiveness. "Don't you have a company to run?" Leah asked when she saw him at her gate one day, standing in the pouring rain. "Nothing else matters except you. Let my company go bankrupt. If I don't have you, nothing else is important," Gabriel replied, his eyes filled with tears. Leah looked deeply at him, but she still couldn't bring herself to forgive him. Too many bad things had happened in her life because of Gabriel's business decisions, and forgiveness didn't come easily. "I can't do this right now, Gabriel," she said, retreating into her house and leaving him alone in the rain. Gabriel kept returning to her house every day. Over time, Leah began to realize that their love was stronger than the difficulties they faced. One day, she opened the gate and found Gabriel sitting outside, looking like a homeless man. "Do you promise you'll never hurt me again? No more secrets from the past?" Gabriel, still seated, raised his eyes to her, and with hope in his voice, he answered. "I promise to dedicate my life to making up for everything I've done to you and your family." The two embraced, and in that hug, they began a process of healing, deciding to start their lives over once more. They started working together on the shop Gabriel had built for Leah. "Do you mind if I make some changes to the shop?" "I want it to reflect my essence, too," Leah suggested, excited. "Of course. The shop is yours, Leah. I'm just here to support you," Gabriel replied with a smile. The shop became a hub of unity and revitalization for the community. Together, they organized events to help local entrepreneurs and celebrate the city's culture. But the shadow of Isabel still lingered. She wasn't willing to let go of Gabriel. One evening, she confronted Leah and Gabriel at the shop, trying to destabilize Leah. "Do you really think he'll stay with you forever? You're just a phase," Isabel said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. But Leah stood her ground without hesitation. "Isabel, don't underestimate the strength of our love." After her confrontation with Isabel, Leah felt stronger than ever. The determination that rose in her heart made her realize she wasn't just a supporting character in her own story. She was the protagonist. By her side, Gabriel saw the transformation her confidence brought, admiring her for facing the demons of the past and challenging the society around them. Together, they became an unbreakable couple, ready to face any adversity life might throw their way. A month later, Gabriel decided to host a special celebration to honor the new shop and the life they were building together. He invited friends, family, and everyone who had supported this renewed chapter of their lives. The atmosphere was filled with joy, laughter, and warm embraces as guests admired the space that had become a true home for creativity and love. "I'm so proud of everything you've accomplished, Leah," Gabriel said, his eyes full of affection as he raised a glass to toast the shop's success. "You've brought life back to this place, and to me as well." "All of this is the result of our unity and your willingness to change, Gabriel," Leah replied, her eyes sparkling with the happiness he had brought into her life. "You've proven your love is real, but more than that, your transformation inspires everyone around us." The toast was followed by laughter as the party came alive. But the joyful and celebratory atmosphere was suddenly interrupted by an unwelcome presence. Isabel, with a sarcastic smile, decided to make an appearance, intent on dimming the cheerful spirit of the event. "It seems you finally got your little shop, Leah," Isabel began, her tone dripping with provocation. "But tell me, do you really believe this love will last?" Leah's expression hardened, but instead of retreating, she felt a surge of strength. "My love for Gabriel is built on respect and learning. It's not about luck, it's about choice," she declared, locking eyes with Isabel. "I'm here and I'm not going anywhere." Feeling the confidence in Leah's words, Gabriel stepped closer, gently taking her hand. "Isabel, Leah isn't alone in this. The love we've built is about overcoming challenges, and we won't let you or anyone question that," he said firmly, his voice revealing the strength he had gained over time. Isabel took a step back, surprised by the unity between them. "You may think this is love, but all I see is a story that will end in disappointment," she said, though her voice now wavered slightly. Leah took a deep breath, standing tall as she faced Isabel. "Maybe you see disappointment, but I see two people who fought for a future. And that, Isabel, is what truly matters." With a final glance at her former rival, Leah turned back to Gabriel, reconnecting with him as they joined the circle of friends and family surrounding them at the party. "Life is about choices. I choose happiness, and with you, Gabriel, that's more than possible," Leah said with a light laugh as the guests gathered around, reinforcing the strong network of love they had built. The past might have its ghosts, but the present was filled with promise, and their future, bolstered by their unity, seemed brighter than ever. Despite Isabel's repeated attempts to disrupt Leah and Gabriel's happiness, they stood firm, both in their relationship and in the shop they had built together. That small shop became more than a business. It was a home for the community. The shop reflected Leah and Gabriel's love and dedication, hosting events that brought people together. They organized local art fairs, showcased emerging artists, and held workshops on self-help and entrepreneurship. Every event strengthened community bonds and brought hope to those facing struggles. For Gabriel, it offered a new purpose, an opportunity to atone for his past mistakes by helping as many people as he could. One sunny Saturday, as they prepared for a special craft fair, Leah and Gabriel discussed their plans. "I'd like to expand the shop to include a section for organic foods," Leah suggested, her enthusiasm shining through. "That could attract more customers and support local farmers at the same time. I love the idea." Gabriel replied with a smile as he helped hang colorful decorations. "And maybe we could host a charity event. We could raise funds to help those who are still struggling," Leah added, her eyes lighting up with excitement. Gabriel took her hand, feeling the special connection they shared. "You always think of others. That's one of the many reasons I love you. Let's do it together." But life always had its surprises. A few weeks later, as they were organizing another community event, shocking news broke. A new shopping mall was being planned for the area, threatening small businesses like theirs. "This could ruin our business and everything we've built here," Gabriel said, worry evident in his voice. "We need to act quickly. Let's rally the local merchants and fight this. We have to show that we're a united community and that small businesses matter," Leah said with determination. "Let's play a little game for those who only read the comments. Type milkshake in the comments. Only those who've made it this far will understand." Now, let's continue the story. Together, they called a meeting and created a movement called Support Local. Convinced that the power of community could make a difference, even in the face of challenges, they began to rally support. Among local merchants and neighbors, they found people willing to fight alongside them. As the date of the public hearing approached, the movement gained momentum. The community united to present a petition, sharing stories of each small business that played a vital role in their lives. They wanted to show that the city needed diversity and authenticity. The night before the hearing, Gabriel and Leah sat in their shop, reviewing evidence and mentally preparing themselves. "We must do this for everyone who's ever fought to keep their dreams alive," Leah said, feeling the weight of the moment. "We're on this journey together. No matter the outcome, what we've built is already remarkable," Gabriel replied, holding her hand with affection and confidence. On the morning of the hearing, the auditorium was packed. Gabriel and Leah became the voices of the community, passionately advocating for the importance of small businesses. "We are not just shops, we are families, dreams, and stories intertwined," Leah said, her voice filled with emotion. Thanks to their dedication, the fight for the community paid off. They won the case, and everyone cheered with joy at the victory. The legacy of Gabriel and Leah became a living testament that, no matter how dark the situation might seem, there is always light ahead. Each new generation learned and drew inspiration from their story, knowing that the cycle of love, solidarity, and transformation would continue. And so, the story moved forward, proving that when people unite for a greater purpose, dreams not only come true, they grow, touching lives for generations to come. In their hearts, Gabriel and Leah knew their work had never been just for themselves, but for everyone who would come after, spreading the light of love and community to every corner of the world. And that light, once ignited, would never go out. With all their challenges behind them and their trust in each other stronger than ever, Gabriel decided to make a special request. He planned a proposal. He chose a special location, under the moonlight by a peaceful lake. On that magical night, he arranged a picnic beneath the stars. "Leah, do you remember what I promised the day you entered my life? I promised to be a better man, and you've made me want to strive for that. Above all, you've shown me what true love is," he said, holding a small box in his hands. Leah looked at him, her eyes full of emotion. "Gabriel, I know our lives have been marked by ups and downs, but you've become the reason I am who I am now. With you, I'm a better person. You bring out the best in me, and I like who I am when I'm with you." Gabriel took a deep breath and continued. "Will you marry me and build a future together, step by step?" he asked, his heart in his hands. "Yes, 1,000 times yes," Leah replied, tears of happiness streaming down her face. Leah threw herself into Gabriel's arms and kissed him passionately. In that moment, she was sure Gabriel was the perfect man for her life. The day of the wedding arrived, and as Leah walked down the aisle, Gabriel felt his heart race. She looked stunning in her wedding dress, a masterpiece that highlighted her beauty and reflected the love they shared. The moment their eyes met, Gabriel knew for certain she was the woman of his dreams. His legs felt weak, and he was overcome with tears of joy as he realized his dreams were coming true. The ceremony was simple but filled with love. Warm smiles from friends and family surrounded the couple, filling the space with vibrant energy. The scent of flowers mixed with laughter, creating a magical atmosphere that enveloped everyone. As they exchanged their eternal vows, Gabriel held Leah's hand firmly, his happiness overflowing. "I promise to stand by your side through every moment, in joy and in sorrow until the end of our days," Gabriel said, his voice trembling with emotion. Leah smiled, tears streaming down her cheeks as she held back her own emotions. "And I promise to love you unconditionally, always striving to be the best version of myself, with you by my side." Their wedding symbolized not just the union of two souls, but the beginning of a new chapter, where the past and present intertwined with promises of a bright future. Even after saying, "I do," as they walked together toward the start of their new life, the world outside seemed to shine brighter than ever. After the ceremony, Gabriel and Leah began building the family they had always dreamed of, opening their hearts to new experiences and challenges. Amid joys and hardships, they found strength in one another. "Leah, let's remember this journey is ours, and even when things get tough, we can always count on each other," Gabriel said, looking into her eyes with determination. Months later, as they celebrated a new chapter in their lives, the couple eagerly awaited the arrival of their first child. The day of the birth arrived, and their hands were intertwined, each contraction bringing them closer to realizing their greatest hope. When they heard the baby's first cry, a wave of emotions washed over them. Gabriel looked at Leah, tears of joy streaming down his face. "We did it, my love. It's a new life, the beginning of everything." The arrival of their baby symbolized not only new life, but also the strengthening of their bond and the beauty of starting anew. "Look at him, Gabriel. He's perfect," Leah said, her voice trembling with love and happiness. "And he's ours," Gabriel replied emphatically, holding the little one in his arms for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of parenthood filled him, and together, Gabriel and Leah embraced the challenge of raising their child with gratitude and hope. "We'll do this together, just like we always do," Leah whispered, gazing lovingly at their son. Gabriel nodded, his heart full. "Yes, together, we're ready for anything." And there, under the tender gaze they shared, they knew they had built a home founded on love, resilience, and a future filled with endless promises. What do you think? Did Leah make the right choice in forgiving Gabriel? Share your thoughts in the comments. Rate this story from 0 to 10. What's your score? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the bell to stay updated on all our stories. Be sure to check out more emotional stories by clicking here on the end screen.